I'm Rachel and this is David, and we've set up Planet Earth Environmental Education Project to look at how we as a community in Penwith can re-skill ourselves in the light of peak oil and climate change. The kind of education that we're offering here is looking at where our food comes from, how we grow it, how we cook it. Looking at composting and using wood to make furniture and also for fuel. At blacksmithing and charcoal making, and basically utilising all what's on the land, what's growing, and so local materials, and also looking at how we can work together in a community, so trying to support one another.
And it's very much about supporting the local community and bringing the local community as far as possible, tying connections, because at the end of the day, the more we are connected with each other, the stronger, more resilient our communities are. And that is the most powerful thing we have together.
The project that we're doing with Cape Cornwall School is with a group of about 25 Year 7s, and we work a day a week with them. And basically what we've done is look at sustainability and what's the best thing to do in terms of what the school can get out of it, what the children can get out of it. And what we decided to do was to go into the school and with the children map the school, how it operates today. So really looking at the inputs that come into the school, all the electricity it consumes, the oil it consumes for heating and lighting, etc., and the food that it brings in, all those kind of things, you know, the exercise books, that kind of thing, and you know, doing this with the pupils, and then looking at all the waste that the school creates, the outputs, and looking at what does and doesn't work and where the vulnerabilities are. So basically mapping the school how it is today. After having mapped the school, we have then been doing quite practical, hands-on work, and we've used the Permaculture design course as the inspiration, looking at and also the transition curriculum.
We worked as far as possible with the teachers in the school, and they were helping us to see ways of tying it into the curriculum in science, in art, in English, in modern foreign languages, all the way through. And it's been really a powerful process. And some of the things we've done have been very obviously one thing, but there's lots of other things involved.
Well, I'm cutting blades out to go on our spinny thing, which on our wind turbines that will blow in the wind and create electricity. It sounds fun. I've never done anything like this before.
It's great fun, and because you've got to think to what you do. You can't just do it. You've got to think how the plan you're going to do it. I know why it's stiff. I know why it's stiff. I know why it's stiff. Let's hit it back.
No, it's not. Why is yours stiff?
No, it's not.
Maybe you've got these two. Yeah, you got these two close together to the thing.
Yeah.
Right, no, we're not being very eco-friendly.
We've been working with the children here, just really starting with the idea of energy and specifically electricity, and basically as 12-year-olds how reliant they are on it, and then the traditional uses and ways it's been generated in the past, and why it is now that we're having to think of alternatives. And so we're focusing on renewable energy with wind, and they have come up with some great ideas, and basically they are now setting loose with their different shapes and sizes of their turbines, finding wind, generating electricity, and basically exploring and learning. It's really, I feel personally, the best way I've ever learned is by actually touching stuff and breaking things and making things and putting things together. So I think that you see it here, it's like they're kind of all a little bit sceptical while you're talking about it, but once there's bits and pieces in front of them and some instructions and they start putting it together and they see it coming together, and then a couple of them have asked the obvious questions like where's the on button, but then, you know, we're kind of reinforcing it every time. So I think this is an experience that they will always have inside, and next time they see a turbine there'll be a little light goes on inside their head and they'll start to understand that yes, this is the wind and it is making electricity and I need electricity, and this is how we can make a positive change in the future.
Pretty clever. How did you pull it from out into the house? It's amazing.
I think it's like
it's going to fall on you. Because
it's like an illusion, because it's like
a
the
pole
clouds are
spinning
making it look like it's moved.
What's always excited me about the transition idea is that it was a kind of positive way of creating a positive future, as opposed to kind of the doom and gloom of other environmental movements. It was a real positive thing for a community to embrace, and how school could be at the heart of that.
You guys are doing the cooking.
You actually like that?
Have you eaten any of it?
Yeah, I have. It tastes like a bit like celery.
What else have you found?
Going back now. I don't want it now. Wild garlic. I found wild garlic, nettles, daisies, lots of stinging nettles.
What are you going to do with them?
Make it soup.
Today was our food day for the curriculum. Like, the whole curriculum is about sustainability, and we've spent a whole day looking at food, because obviously that's a hugely important subject, and the way that the food comes to most of us is from other countries. A lot of it is flown in, mass packaging, which is completely unsustainable. So we're trying to open up their possibilities, basically, and we've looked at wild food this morning. We went on wild food forage, and we were basically teaching them about all the plants that are growing along the hedgerows and in the area all year round, that they can pick for free and use, and that, like they were saying, they can tell their friends and family. I mean, obviously there's a safety aspect of really being able to identify the plant really well, which we're telling them about. And the other thing we were teaching them about was the medicinal qualities of some of the plants, and they loved it. It's been really brilliant, really enjoyable.
Some of you may like to use this today in your soup, okay? Now, I've got a recipe sheet on your table. You don't necessarily have to follow the recipe to the letter. You know that about food. You can add things, you can leave things out and so on. So if you'd like to use this, what would it be like if we were to buy it in the supermarket, this?
It would be like much neater.
Much neater, yeah, what, sorry, vegetable I meant.
Oh,
Anybody? I hear people saying it. Jonathan?
Celery.
It's been great. They've been really good, haven't they? Very focused on what they were doing. They seem to sort of know an awful lot from their walk this morning. They could name the vegetables that they were using, the plants that they were using. We've had one or two who've actually gone on and done something other than the nettle soup, which is great to see. Yeah, it's worked really well. Well, I think they're going to have to be able to cook in the future, and they're going to have to be able to look after themselves, and there is this drive from the government to bring cookery, practical cookery skills back into the curriculum. So they've obviously seen it as being important, and of course I've been in the job 30 years, so I think it's really important.
much better than I thought it would do.
Does it have a sting to it?
No, it doesn't have any stings.
It's the best of traditions. I'm not going to give marks out of 10. It's going to be thumbs up, thumbs across, or thumbs down, yeah? Nice and warm. Nice texture. The bread. Okay, for the bread. And as for the soup... Who made the soup? As far as the soup is concerned, soup.
If it's peppery, it's theirs.
It's fine. Lovely. Well done to you. So you all worked as a group in order to be able to make it? Yeah, so who decided which tasks you're going to do? Who decided which tasks in terms of collecting it and...
Actually, we're all together in the end. We made our own bread.
Yeah.
We're all together in one bit.
Okay.
The skills that young people are learning at school are going to be key and essential to that. And they'll need to know how to grow their own food, how to generate their own energy, how to use less, work together more, land-based skills, but being creative about that. They're all the skills I feel young people and schools should be embracing, really.
So basically, what you're learning about here is to be silent, to be quiet, and that is something that people who live close to nature, they knew the importance of that. It's essential. Like if you live in a natural environment where there is potential dangers, from wild animals and other like natural forces, that you are able to be quiet for an extended period of time.
We're giving them a very sort of basic introduction to some of the principles of survival and bushcraft, a couple of different techniques we're doing. Also this side which is nature awareness, so getting them to start thinking about all their senses and how they're using those. So we're doing a bit of sit spot, which is sitting outside in nature and just observing what's going on in silence.
It's also very much about learning how to become more quiet and learning to pay attention to what is here, learning to pay attention to the land and exercises that help them to come into a different kind of relationship with what is here, and very much about learning to be present, I suppose.
Well, we've been sitting down 15 minutes, just having some peace and thinking about wildlife and all.
How was it?
Very good. Found it very peaceful. I enjoyed all the natural sounds around me. Why do you need CD players? Why do you need CD players? You can hear wind. And it's nice wind. Relaxing.
The transition idea comes up in certainly those schools that have those environmental focuses. There'll be a key teacher or a person in that community that's saying, well, okay, the school should have a role in transition in our area. And I think learning from what's happened at Cape and what they've been doing here at Planet Earth, is really key. Other schools could learn and have taster days and fit into what the other sort of environmental issues that they're looking at within their school.
I really enjoyed today because we found loads of holes from animals and how to light a fire.
Dug it and chucked it in there. There are flies in it because flies have been nesting in it, but also there's some worms in it. We want some worms to be in the bottom of the compost heap to help start it off. Okay, and what we're trying to do now is add different bits and pieces to the compost to actually see how it breaks down. And I talked to you a lot about different layers. So that's broken down compost. That stuff would have been a bit like this at one point, but it's now broken down. It's more earthy and that. And this is, I don't know, it's lavender or something that was growing in the garden here. Okay, now this is now a waste material, but by going into the compost heap in 6 months' time that could be compost. Okay, so if somebody wants to put some of that on top of that, well done, well volunteered.
Thank you.
There's more here, so no need to be shy.
it quite fun. It's challenging.
Very sweaty.
It's really clever actually now. Everything's just been put together into a compost bin, but it's really like tiring and
it's not really costing the environment because we're using like wood, reusable wood, to make the compost bins.
And it's just given us a good experience of what can be happening and what we need to be doing. So yeah, I reckon it's been happening real well.
Where the sun passes over it, comes from over here and sets
over there.
So is this quite a good place to have vegetables then?
Yeah,
Sort of, would you say?
I've been introducing them to some basic principles of permaculture and how that might be applied in their school, because the idea being that we are going to integrate the knowledge from today into the future of the school, because they want to grow vegetables and maybe even have a farm school here. So hopefully it's been a useful day to give them some ideas about how they can grow things sustainably. In their hands lies the future, and as we know, there's lots of negative press about what's going on with our planet at the moment. And the kids at the moment, if they don't get educated about growing food, I think they're really going to miss out later on in their life.
So the ones with the most shoots is the top.
I'd say that one.
It does seem to me that transition gives a context within which all education could occur, because it touches every single part of our lives.
Using people with skills in the local community to come in and offer those skills for other people to learn from, and we're using what's the produce that's on site. So rather than going off and buying a load of sticks, we're saying, okay, if you're going to do some green woodworking with this local skilled person, go down to the coppice and choose your own wood and then make something beautiful from it.
Okay, hello. My name is Juliet and I'm a medical herbalist, and I want to talk to you today and do some stuff later using plants as medicines. But first of all, I want to just give a slightly different angle onto the use of plants. In South America, there's a group of plants that have been, or sort of resins, tree resins, that have been used for arrow poisons. Curare, I don't know if anybody's heard of curare. Yeah? It's an arrow poison. And it's used, warring tribes, they would shoot arrows at each other, or they would shoot them for hunting, at animals. And it's a very strong neurotoxin. And it can kill a big mammal in 20 minutes. So that's how strong it is.
You said they'd hunt with it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that mean it would be still in the dead animal's bloodstream? Then they'd eat it and make it.
It doesn't last. It's a very good question. But it doesn't last. What it actually does, it blocks the chemical transmission from the nerves to the muscles. We've been looking at the medicinal uses of plants. So we've been out around the hedgerows, finding everything, identifying things, and the kids picking things, and we're going to make a herbal syrup and a herbal shampoo.
So it's been a good day because you get to talk to your friends and you get to pick flowers, and it's been fun picking all the flowers, walking around, learning what different flowers are, and learning which ones are poisonous and which ones aren't.
I think it's really important for their personal future, as an alternative way of looking after themselves, that if they have a cold, they don't need to take paracetamol particularly. They can, there are things that are growing in the hedgerows that they can use. So I think for their own personal health and well-being, I think it's vital that they know something about looking after themselves and taking responsibility for their own health.
I think it's just a case of people sort of considering what it is that they're buying in the first place. People always talk about reduce, reuse, recycle, and it has been around for a while, that 3 R's, but I think it's still as valid today as it was when it first got introduced. It's just people changing their habits and not being so throwaway society, as it's called, but it does make a difference, I think. I think if people think about what it is they're putting in their bin and then maybe come to this and have a look for themselves to see what the impact of it, then I think people would change their habits, really.
But that was 4 hours worth of rubbish that you saw. Did you all hear that?
No.
You know, it didn't look like that much, because literally they have to keep covering up as it goes. So what you saw there was 4 hours worth of local rubbish, just that amount you saw. And as the day progressed, there'll be more and more and more, and as it goes on, it gets more and more covered up. So they're not allowed to leave. You know, like usually you see pictures on the press or in the media about, landfill. They're huge, aren't they? So you kind of expect that, but you're not allowed to do that. So actually, that was only 4 hours worth of rubbish. So I don't know.
Quite a lot then.
Yeah. And you were walking on rubbish, weren't you? Everywhere you walked was rubbish, and that grassy hill there is rubbish that's now turned to grass.
Yeah, there was a song bit on whereas we were walking. There was a song bit on the floor. Yeah.
So what do you feel you kind of got from the experience? You learned from the experience?
We need to recycle a lot more. Yeah, because where's it all going to go when there's not enough room left to put the rubbish?
And the other thing was, is this going to sort of having the impact when you go home after today?
I'm probably going to recycle a lot more. My dad's rubbish at recycling. he chucks wine bottles in the bin and I have to take them back out again. It's really annoying. So yeah, I try and teach him some.
Why did you want people to take part in this course?
Why did I want people to take part in this kind of course? Okay. Good question. There's a question before that though, Sequoia, slightly, which is that you are the first group of students to ever do something like this. And that's because your new national curriculum allows you to do things like this. And when I knew that there was going to be this opportunity, because we spoke about it quite some time ago, didn't we? When I knew that the curriculum was going to change, I thought that there would be opportunities for us to really change, rather than just a little change, to change completely. And so that's when this sort of opportunity came about. The new curriculum that you are going to go through, not just in Year 7, but also in Year 8 and Year 9, will ask you to think about your learning and who you are as learners. It's not just about the skills that you have in different subjects. It's also about the kind of ideas that you have, the attitudes that you have, the emotions that you have. And it's about making sure that your learning takes place in a real context.
I reckon we're doing it so because it might not affect us at this precise moment, but when we go, there'll be our children that we've just given, and then they're going to be left with a problem that we've caused, so there's not going to be fair on them. So I reckon if we take a stand now, people who get even in the future will have a good life like we have. It's not fair if we leave all our baggage behind for people to suffer.
They started to realise they could write their own curriculum. They could go to the English department and say, look, we can use this garden to increase our vocabulary. We can use it to inspire stories and poems, and we can do drama. We could use it as an outdoor stage, and if we could use it for modern foreign languages. We will be, and they just really took it off, and they came up with some really fascinating ideas. And there was the idea of we could explore in history the migration of plants around the world and how they've been used. And it's stunning. What a brilliant idea. And then further, how plants require different geographical climates and microclimates and the soils and the conditions, and they can really see how they can cross it over those curricular boundaries. And it was very interesting talking to them about it.
I made this last week. It's how garden can link to all the other subjects in the curriculum, and it's quite a lot. And I don't think all of it there, but most of it, definitely.
Do you want to tell us a few of them? Tell us the promo.
Yeah, it links into English because we'll get the names for the proper names for vegetables and inspiration for poems and stories. Drama, pretty much the same for inspiration for stories, and you can also use it as a stage. One for foreign languages, for inspiration for poems and stories and vocabulary. In science, making plant microscope slides, testing soil pH, about the life cycle and germination of seeds.
So how many other people here would like to carry on this kind of project, the Planet Earth Eco Jedi project, after year 7? And how many people here would recommend it to other schools to do? We're really impressed that, you know, Cape had the courage to take this on, because it's completely essential with, you know, with the children's future. So really what we're hoping to do in the future with this project is that the children who have done this curriculum take their knowledge into other schools, and peer mentoring happens not only within Cape, it also spreads out to other schools. And we've had loads of brilliant feedback from various teachers at other schools and various people that actually this is crucial what we're doing, and that all schools should be embracing this. It shouldn't just be an eco club after school, or a bit in geography, or a bit maybe in English. It should be something that all schools do take on.